Welcome, night traveller, to Bedtime Historica, a place where the weight of the day slips quietly from your shoulders and history breathes in a hush. Imagine a campfire flickering just beyond sight, its glow held safely in the palm of memory, while a steady voice invites you to wander the world that was. Tonight, your path leads east, across grasslands that stretch past the horizon, into the life of a Mongol nomad. Settle deeper into your pillow, allow your breathing to follow the slow rhythm of an unseen drum, and let the modern world drift away like smoke in an endless sky. Before the journey takes hold, a gentle favor. Bedtime Historica grows through small, thoughtful gestures, much like the way a single spark nurtures a traveler's fire. If these calm stories help you rest, tapping subscribe is as effortless as tying a bright ribbon to your saddle. When you return, the fire will already be lit. If you choose to do so, I'm grateful. And if you simply prefer to listen in silence, the story welcomes you all the same. Take another slow breath. Feel your chest rise and fall, and notice how each exhale loosens the knots behind your eyes. Dawn hovers in a thin grey band above the grasslands when you wake inside a round felt dwelling. Beneath layers of thick wool, the earth feels firm yet forgiving. The chill of night still holds the air, sharp enough to nip at exposed skin. In the center of the dwelling, a hearth purrs in low embers, carrying the scent of smoke, mutton, and a faint sweetness left by yesterday's milk tea. You push back your blanket and kneel beside the firestones, adding a twist of dried dung fuel. Sparks leap, as though they, too, are eager to stretch after sleep. Orange light crawls along the wooden roof ribs, revealing stitched patterns that echo the constellations waiting beyond the canvas. A rustle of blankets behind you signals the first muffled greetings of the day. Words are soft, uttered more in breath than voice, because out here, nothing needs to be shouted. The oldest member of the household clears her throat with the dignity of a bell tolling the hour, then sets about warming a dented iron pot of tea. Thin curls of steam rise, carrying comfort throughout the space. You accept the first ladleful, tea-colored like dark cedar, lightly salted and thickened with beads of rendered fat that shimmer across the surface. As the liquid travels down your throat, you sense warmth spreading through your chest, a quiet promise that the day will unfold as it always has, sustained by ordinary miracles. Outside, ponies stomp frost from the grass, their breath drifting in silver plumes. You tug on felt boots that still carry yesterday's dust, then step through the door flap. The world meets you with a hush so vast it becomes a kind of music. The faint creaking of cartwheels settling overnight, the whistle of wind combing through feather grass, the distant trill of a lone skylark greeting first light. Above, the highest stars linger like pins on blue silk, while the planet Venus glows bright enough to mark true east. A thin rim of peach-colored light begins to bleed upward, a foretaste of sunrise. Your gelding waits nearby, hobbled but alert. His coat, done as weathered leather, bristles with early chill. You run a palm along his neck, feeling both warmth and strength beneath thick winter hair. A simple rope loop serves as bridle. No metal bit is needed when trust has been cultivated since foaling. He noses your sleeve in search of grain, and you oblige with a small scoop of millet. Each crunch carries a tiny puff of sound, oddly satisfying in the stillness. Back in the dwelling, the family packs at a practiced pace. The round home is not merely shelter, it is a foldable memory, designed to rise and fall with the seasons. Felt walls unhook from a lattice of willow sticks. Roof struts slide free and stack neatly like oversized reeds. You help compress felt into tight rolls, securing each with horsehair rope. Soon, what was a home becomes an orderly mound, no wider than an ox cart, ready to follow the grass wherever it grows greenest. It is a lesson in leaving nothing behind except flattened grass and a cool circle of ash. As first rays of sun gild the horizon, the caravan forms. Oxen bend their broad heads into yokes polished smooth by journeys long forgotten. Wooden wheels accept their burden with groans too low to disturb the hush. Ponies align themselves almost instinctively, some saddled for riders, others laden with chests of household goods, tools, and bolts of dyed silk intended for distant trade. Children are lifted onto small horses, their faces round with excitement and sleepiness. Somewhere a reed flute sends a slow melody across the plain, rising then falling like the wings of a lark. The tune is older than memory, yet it fits the morning as though it were tuned by sunrise itself. You swing into the saddle, knees bent, boots snug in wide wooden stirrups. The saddle is clever, small, high at front and back, shaped to cradle your seat during hours of rolling motion. The gelding shifts his weight, tests the bitless rope rein, then settles. At a light squeeze of your calves, he moves into an efficient trot that seems less like stepping and more like gliding. Grass bends under each hoof with a soft sigh, leaving faint trails behind you that the wind promptly erases. Your first task is the sheep. While the family slept, wind scattered the flock across a shallow valley. You spot them easily, grey backs scattered like stones across a sea of bronze grass. Steering wide, you let your silhouette rise on a ridge so the animals see you against the brightening sky. They bunch reflexively, reading you as a silent predator. You whistle a rising note, one you have used every morning since childhood. The gelding responds by pivoting, cutting off stragglers with short bursts of speed. No barking dogs, no loud commands, only the low thrumming of hooves and the occasional bleat. Herded into a makeshift pen of woven panels, the flock settles. An elder counts aloud, dropping wooden beads into a small cup. Each click is a confirmation that life has continued its quiet rhythm. Satisfied, he nods and moves on to check for injuries or kinks in wool. A lamb sidles up to you, sucking idly on your fingertips as though they might be its mother. You scratch the soft skull between its ears, and it presses harder, eyes closing in trust. With the sheep secure, your attention shifts to the horses, a tribe's true measure of fortune. On a nearby slope, 50 mares graze, tails flicking at early flies that dare the chill. Horses know voices almost as well as they know scent, so you begin humming a tune drawn from the elder's counting chant. The lead mare lifts her head, ears pricked. One by one the others follow, interest piqued. You circle slowly, never rushing. Horses drift toward you the way iron filings gather toward a magnet, inevitable, yet elegant. Foals shuffle near their mothers, long legs wobbling, clouds of breath drifting like halos. You dismount to walk among them, palms sliding over flanks, fingers checking for burrs and hidden scratches. At a young stallion newly gelded, you pause, letting your calm breathing steady his nerves. He leans into your touch, eyelids fluttering half-closed. A dragonfly darts past, wings catching sunlight in a momentary flare of iridescence. Time lengthens inside that small communion until all you feel is the horse's heartbeat against your palm. 2 mares accept short rope lines. Where lead animals move, the herd follows. You remount, guiding them toward the caravan now creeping across the plain like a string of low clouds. Behind you, the herd flows in an orderly ribbon, hooves muffled in grass. Dust rises in shy columns, caught by the sun's first strong rays. Overhead, an eagle circles, scanning for marmots that might scurry from the commotion. Its wings hardly tip, yet the bird sways on air as though reclining in an unseen cradle. By mid-morning, the caravan halts near a meandering river, its surface flashing sparks of light. Oxen lower their heads to drink, ripples breaking reflections of sky. You slide from the saddle, splash cool water onto your face, and savor the way cold travels across skin in tiny bursts of clarity. From a leather pouch, You produce dried berries, mixed with shaved cheese and a hint of honey. The sweetness surprises your tongue, contrasting the salty tea lingering in memory. You follow the riverbank, checking hoofprints for irregularity. A cracked hoof discovered early can be wrapped and treated with rendered fat and felt, preventing disaster miles down the trail. Nothing amiss today. The invisible pulse of the world thrums steady, like a drum beneath layers of wool. Noon arrives wearing a cloak of heat, though a breeze keeps it courteous. Lunch is simple: boiled mutton seasoned with wild onion, served in wooden bowls passed hand to hand. Conversation drifts toward last winter's blizzards, the price of silk at distant markets, and the rumor of travelers from lands beyond the western deserts. Stories rise and fall in a cadence that lulls even the oxen into stillness. You let words wash over you as you chew meat that tastes of smoke and salt, feeling strength seep into limbs that have known this diet since childhood. After eating, you lie on your back in the sparse shade of a tamarisk tree. Leaves whisper overhead, telling secrets only the wind fully understands. Eyes half closed, you trace cloud shapes. One resembles a running horse, another a crouching deer. The breeze flutters your hair across your forehead. You do nothing to move it, content to merely be. Somewhere a child's laughter peals as cousins chase one another, stepping, miraculously, around the dozing elders without waking them. The break ends when shadows shorten to near nothing. Time to mount again. The route this afternoon threads between low hills where grass grows thick and fragrant. The caravan stretches out, but everyone knows the chosen campsite by instinct, a gentle rise near a shallow pond, sheltered from the north wind by a natural embankment. You ride ahead to scout, eyes narrowing against the sun's glare off silvery water. Hoofprints of wild horses dot the mud, but no fresh wolf tracks. All is well. Arriving, you swing down and begin untying bundles. Reassembling the felt home is a reversal of dawn's ritual, yet carries its own satisfaction. Lattice opens like a blooming flower, roof ribs connect in a circle, felt sheets drape over the frame, and a crown ring is hoisted to capture smoke from future fires. Each action is muscle memory layered with quiet pride. When finished, you step back to admire the structure, sturdy, familiar, and welcoming against the wide plain. Evening preparation begins with tending the animals. Horses are unsaddled and rubbed down with handfuls of dry grass to remove dust and sweat. Sheep are guided toward richer patches of growth near the pond. Camels kneel to allow heavy loads to slide off their double humps. Each creature receives attention fitting its labor, reinforcing an unspoken covenant between nomad and herd. Sunset spills molten gold across sky and earth. The pond mirrors every shade: amber, rose, then violet. Smoke rises from hearths newly kindled. Aromas of lamb stew, onion and garlic mingle with that of boiling milk. Voices soften, as if in respect for the spectacle overhead. A young girl plucks at a two-stringed instrument, coaxing a melody that seems stitched from twilight itself. Notes float across camp, weave through tents, and drift into surrounding grass like seeds on the wind. Night settles gently, accompanied by a firmament ablaze with stars. The Milky Way cuts a silver path so bright it appears almost solid. You stand outside the Jer, neck craned, marveling. No city lights dilute the heavens here. Constellations feel close enough to graze with your fingertips. You trace patterns taught by elders, the 7 elders of the north, the bow, the hearth. Each shape carries a tale of creation, honor, or warning. Together they map both land and spirit. Inside, stew is ladled into shared bowls. Meat falls from bone with a tender shrug, releasing juices that warm lips and stomach alike. You sip fermented mare's milk, tart, effervescent, strangely refreshing. Conversation now is slower, words separated by thoughtful silences. Someone recalls a winter night so cold, the family dog's whiskers froze into tiny icicles. Laughter ripples, gentle and genuine, then fades into a hush, broken only by the fire's sigh. The eldest rises to speak a blessing for safe sleep. His voice is a low hum, shaped by decades of wind and dust, yet clear as water over stones. He thanks the eternal blue sky for its ceiling, the rolling earth for its floor, and the humble animals for their endless gifts. Each listener bows head in quiet agreement. The hush that follows is deep enough to hold a heartbeat. You settle onto thick quilts spread near the hearth. Embers glow red, pulsing like distant cities viewed from a height. The dwelling feels warmer than any palace, not because of grand walls or treasures, but because everyone within shares the same small miracle of breath. You close your eyes, listening to the wind brush felt walls with a sound like robes on silk. Somewhere outside, a horse snorts, and a bell tied to a camel's harness gives a soft chime. These are lullabies of the grassland. Sleep comes, patient and profound. In dreams, you may hear hoofbeats rolling through night like thunder whispered into velvet. You might ride with them, or you might simply watch from a hill, wrapped in a cloak of stars. Either way, the day has claimed you, shaped you, and finally released you into rest. Some hours slip by, silent and seamless. Then a faint rustle lifts you toward wakefulness. Not alarm, just awareness. You open your eyes to a dwelling veiled in shadow, lit only by the shy glow of dying coals. A breeze threads through the roof hole and teases smoke into slender ribbons. Outside, the night has deepened to its bluest core, yet a pale band of moonlight lies across the packed earth floor, silvering the edges of wool quilts and wooden bowls. The hush feels almost sacred. You are a lone watcher in a sky-roofed cathedral of grass. Through the canvas walls comes a muffled bleating. The flock is uneasy. You rise carefully so as not to wake the others, pull on your boots, and step outside. The cold greets you without ceremony, crisp enough to sting inside your nostrils. Breath blooms in front of you like small white flowers that vanish as quickly as they bloom. Off to one side you sense movement, dark shapes low to the ground, flowing in that deliberate, sinuous way only predators manage. Wolves. They seldom threaten a full-grown clan, but they test for weakness, seeking stragglers, newborn lambs, a moment of inattention. You find a dry branch left from earlier cooking, set its end into the hearth to catch flame, and walk toward the edge of camp. Light flickers along your sleeves, sparks drift skyward, tiny companions emboldened by your footsteps. You whistle a quiet pattern learned from the elders, 3 descending notes, then a pause, then a single high tone. Horses hear the cue and shuffle, rising to attention. A few camel bells chime in response. The wolves hesitate, eyes glinting like coals under a pot's lid. They weigh hunger against hassle, then melt into darkness, as soundless as they arrived. You push a long exhale through pursed lips, feel shoulders relax, and turn back toward the sleeping deer, comforted by the knowledge that vigilance need not be loud. Before returning indoors, you check the sky one more time. Constellations wheel overhead in ancient choreography. The Milky Way appears so solid, you half expect a shepherd to lead goat herds along its bright corridor. You let your gaze wander until eyelids grow heavy, then slip back inside, nestling beneath the quilt. The warmth is immediate, a cocoon fashioned by wool, shared breath, and the deep satisfaction of duties quietly fulfilled. The next awakening comes with the subtle light of false dawn. No birds yet, no color, only the gentlest easing of darkness. Your body notes stiffness in shoulders and thighs from yesterday's long ride. You stretch ankles, draw a slow breath scented by banked embers and the faint tang of fermented milk. Around you, the household stirs. A mother smooths her daughter's hair. A boy fumbles for his mittens, fingers clumsy with sleep. The elder woman coughs once, bright and brief, signaling it is time to rise. The morning plan differs from yesterday's trek. Grass here is lush, water plentiful, so the clan will remain several days to fatten animals. That means a different rhythm, no dismantling of walls. Instead, chores expand to fill daylight. You pull on a sheepskin coat still warm from last night's hearth, then step out to greet the dawn. Frost has glazed the grass, each blade tipped in crystal that snaps beneath footfalls. You make for the milk mares first. They stand tethered, thick winter coats glowing with early light. Milking is a quiet art. Turbulence spoils flavor. You squat at a mare's side, press forehead against her flank for warmth, and work with sure, steady rhythm. Milk strikes the wooden bucket in soft, rapid beats, releasing steam and a grassy sweetness that mingles with cold air until both smells blur into one. The foal waits close, nostrils flaring, tail swishing intermittently as if counting seconds until mother returns her full attention. Buckets filled, you carry them toward a low table outside the dwelling. Morning sun edges above the horizon, painting sky in stripes of rose and apricot. Mixed with an earlier batch of sour starter, the fresh milk will ferment into airag by evening. You stir slowly with a carved paddle, and every so often slap the surface to encourage foaming. Bubbles form patterns like tiny snow-covered dunes, catching the light. It is oddly mesmerizing, and you allow yourself a minute to be hypnotized by the swirl. When that pleasant trance fades, you collect a coil of rope and small knife. It is hoof-trimming day for the sheep. Sheep hooves grow fast on soft ground, and overgrowth causes limp, infection, decline. You and 2 cousins corral a dozen ewes at a time, flip each gently onto its back, and file edges smooth. The animals complain in half-hearted bleats, but once freed they spring away, stepping lighter than before. The sun climbs, heat gathering in the folds of your coat. Sweat beads at your temples, though wind continues its cool caress. You remove the coat, drape it across the fence, and feel solar warmth seep directly through shirt linen to skin. A call floats across camp, rising above bleats and bell chimes. The elder summons everyone for midday meal. You wipe hands on your trousers, then join a semicircle around a large cauldron suspended over flames. Today's fare is tsuivan, flat noodles chopped and steamed atop diced mutton, carrots and onion. Steam billows upward, carrying aromas capable of softening even the sternest hunger. Ladles scrape metal, and bowls pass from hand to hand until everyone holds a portion. You add a dash of dried wild chives for brightness before sliding to a spot just beyond the main group, back resting against a saddle propped in grass. Eating becomes slow meditation. Noodles soak up savory juices. Each bite yields gentle resistance before surrendering flavor. Conversation drifts across topics like clouds across a mountain ridge, never rushing, simply evolving. One man recalls a summer storm so fierce it ripped tents from stakes. Another counters with a memory of a plague sweeping through goat herds until only luck and rigorous burning of bedding halted the spread. You listen, spoon poised, imagining each scene, yet your heart remains steady, untroubled. The rhythm of storytelling is as nourishing as the stew. With bowls licked clean, some adults stretch out for brief naps beneath wagons. Children tumble in somersault contests down a low slope, laughter rising and falling. Elders share a pouch of snuff, tapping it into palms, inhaling with appreciative snorts. You notice a cluster of young riders saddling horses. They plan to race for sport across the far ridge and back, a test of endurance and skill. They invite you with a tilt of the head. Accepting would require speed, risk, and the possibility of tangled reins. You decline this time, content to nurse a full belly beneath the sky. Instead, you choose a simpler task, gathering fuel for tonight's fires. Dried dung is light, odorless once cured, and abundant. You carry a canvas sack, strolling between tufted mounds left by grazing yaks weeks prior. The work requires no thought, allowing mind to wander. You recall stories of ancient ancestors, warriors whose arrows darkened skies, whose horses galloped from sunrise to moonrise. Their feats appear glorious in tale, yet you suspect daily life looked very much like yours, collecting fuel, stirring milk, mending rope. Glory is simply hardship, viewed through the soft lens of distance. By late afternoon, clouds roll in from the west, heavy with the look of rain, yet dragging ribbons of dust beneath their bellies. A steppe dust storm. The air shifts, tasting of iron and impending static. You quicken your gait, sack bouncing against your back, and warn the camp. Mothers tug tie strings tighter around tent roofs. Men drive stakes deeper. Horses are brought closer, hobbled in pairs. A twilight hue blunts the sun even before it descends, and the wind turns sharp, flinging grains of sand that sting cheeks. Inside the jeer, felt walls block the worst. Outside, the world moans, a low, unbroken note, like a lonesome horn. Dust scrapes the roof, a rattling hiss that might keep city dwellers awake. But here, it registers as familiar white noise. You sit cross-legged near the hearth, feeding small sticks into flame. Sparks hide themselves in smoke, instantly snatched by the draught. Conversation becomes subdued, a quilt of murmurs stitched together to pass the time. Someone plucks the two-stringed Morin Coeur again, slower now, notes bending like willow branches in gale-force wind. You close eyes and let each tone settle into the spaces behind your ribs. When the storm moves on, it leaves air washed and crisp. Stepping outside feels like walking into a newly birthed world, the sky scoured clean of even the faintest haze. The sun, moments from setting, peers beneath cloud edges, throwing beams that illuminate dust still hanging in low sheets. It looks as though the horizon smolders, orange embers glowing beneath a blanket of ash. Animals shake themselves, sending mini-storms of their own into the air. The clamoring hush of the storm is replaced by an almost celebratory chorus. Bleating sheep, snorting horses, the relieved mutter of camels rising to their feet. Dinner takes on a festive note. Freshly slaughtered goat turns on a spit, fat sizzling into flames that flare and crackle. Vegetables saved from barter with distant traders, turnips, barrels of preserved cabbage, join the pot. You help grind wheat grains between two stones, releasing nutty fragrance. The flour will thicken broth, making it stretch to feed hungry stomachs after a day carved by wind. As darkness gathers, you notice tiny stings on your arms, dust bringing fleas out of hiding. Fleas are veteran freeloaders, immune to harsh climate, thriving in folds of wool and seams of garments. You scratch absent-mindedly, then laugh at the minor misery, sharing the joke with a cousin who does the same. Good news, you are alive. Bad news, so are the fleas. Despite the itch, the moment sparkles with camaraderie, the sort built only by shared nuisance. Someone jokes that fleas, like distant emperors, demand taxes in the currency of patience. Laughter rounds the circle. With bellies full, stories resume. A traveller visiting last summer claimed to have seen boats so large they carried entire forests of masts. Another spoke of towers made of pale stone, rising higher than any eagle. Some shake heads in disbelief, others consider possibilities in silence. You imagine those towers for a moment, structures that pierce clouds, drawing lightning perhaps, then let the image drift like smoke from a snuffed candle. Fatigue settles across shoulders, but duty persists. A night watch must rotate through quiet hours to keep horses safe and fires alive. Your shift falls first. You accept a thick cloak of dark felt, hood lined with fox fur, and step out beneath a moon barely past half full. One corner of sky gleams, where the Pleiades cluster like loose grains of rice on black cloth. Wolves occasionally test boundaries after a storm. Tonight you listen for them. Wind has calmed. The grass moves in slow, drowsy waves. You pace the perimeter, feeling the softness of earth yield, then spring back beneath your boots. Hooves shuffle as a mare repositions. Foals nicker quietly in their sleep, and the bells of camels tap soft counterpoint to your steps. Beyond this living orchestra lies a silence so vast it might swallow cities whole. During patrol, you pick out constellations again, noting their subtle drift since the previous night. Stars, you realize, are a clock immune to forgetting. They never lose track of schedules, never miss a rising. In their steadiness, you find reassurance. For all the unpredictability of weather, wolves, fleas, and fragile rope, the sky keeps perfect time. When your watch ends, you wake the next guardian with a gentle shake and a whisper. Back in the gyr, you slide under covers still warm from earlier sleepers, and within breaths, darkness folds over you like a feather-filled quilt. Dreams wander, a river of stars, a horse made of cloud vapor galloping through sky, and a faint song carried on wind from someplace where grass never ends. Dawn again. You wake earlier than others, curiosity tugging you toward the eastern glow. Stepping outside, you discover dew glistening on each blade, jewels for any who kneel to see them close. You do. Tiny droplets lens the sunrise, splitting light into bands of pink and gold that quiver before leaping into air. Your breath catches. Even a hardened steppe rider can be startled by beauty. This final morning brings a task others dread, breaking a young horse to saddle. The colt, barely 3 years, brims with nervous energy. Dark mane whips into his eyes as he circles a post, snorting challenge at anyone daring to step near. Elders observe, arms crossed, faces stone steady, ready to intervene but preferring youth to learn. You approach slowly, voice low, an unbroken stream of nonsense syllables meant to calm. Eyes meet. Colt's black marble eyes show whites, a tremor of uncertainty. You extend a hand, palm down, hovering near his muzzle, until curiosity overrides fear. Warm breath grazes your skin. You smell grass and youth. First contact achieved, you withdraw, then offer again, each approach slightly closer. Rope loops over his neck, sliding to chest. At initial pressure, he jerks back, muscles bunching like coiled wire, but you release tension instantly. Again, a dance of trust. When calm returns, you introduce a small, lightweight saddle pad. He flinches at touch, then relaxes when nothing painful follows. Hours pass. Patience is the true harness. By midday, he allows a true saddle, though girth remains loose. Sweat darkens his flanks, and your own shirt clings damp at the back. Finally, with elders' nods, you slip a foot into stirrup and swing up. The colt's spine stiffens, muscles ripple. For a suspended moment, you share a precarious peace, 2 nervous creatures stacked one atop the other. Then movement. Tentative steps become halting circles, then lengthen into a trot. A cheer, soft but proud, from onlookers. You dismount, run a hand down the colt's neck, feel his heart thrumming under hide. Your own heart answers in kind. Progress today ensures tomorrow's journey will be safer, faster. The clan's future literally rides on moments such as these, repeated generation upon generation. The sun arcs high, baking dust stirred by hooves. Heat waves shimmer across pond surface, warping reflection of sky into abstract shapes. Noon meal is lighter today. Leftover noodles fried crisp with wild onions, chased by handfuls of dried apricots, purchased seasons ago from a trader with silk-lined saddlebags. Sweetness bursts against tongue, mingling with faint tang of salt sweat. Afternoon invites barter. Another clan's riders appear on horizon, 8 silhouettes gradually assembling into distinct forms. Riders clad in sheepskin, flags streaming. When they arrive, greetings are exchanged through bowing of heads and brief clasping of forearms. Goods spread on blankets, salt bricks, goat hides, blocks of tea compressed into brick shapes, tiny metal arrowheads. Your clan offers fermented cheese, tanned horsehide rope, and a set of twin lambs prized for soft wool. Negotiations proceed with measured courtesy, punctuated by dry humor. The visitor captain claims his tea bricks are pressed under auspicious moon cycles. An elder counters that moon cycles are meaningless if tea leaves hail from soil lacking courage. Laughter, agreement, goods swap hands. Afterward, everyone drinks a toast of Arag passed clockwise, reaffirming bonds older than the ink, used by distant emperors to draw borders on maps. Evening creeps in, painting long shadows that nudge animals toward tents. Fires spark to life, first one, then dozens, constellations mirroring those overhead. You find a moment of solitude at the pond, ankles dangling in cool water, firelight dancing across ripples. Mosquitoes flit near surface, but a breeze spares you their attention. Reflection in water shows a face wind-scoured, yet softened by contentment. Eyelids heavy, you realize exhaustion clings to limbs like picking burrs. Time to retire. Inside the ger, quilts smell of lanolin and wood smoke, scents that have cradled generations. You stretch out, spine easing into softness. Nearby, a baby stirs, then resettles, sighing like a tiny bellows. Sparks ascend the chimney hole. Your last waking thought is gratitude, for grass that feeds hooves, hooves that carry history, and history that lulls the weary to peaceful dreams. Sleep folds over you with the gentleness of felt draped over willow frame. Somewhere on the steppe, wolves resume their distant chorus, but their voices are hushed, subdued, as if even they respect the quiet heartbeat of animals and humans sharing one vast cradle of earth and sky. Gradually the fires of thought dim until only a few glowing coals remain. Those coals grow faint, then fainter still, until at last they wink to darkness, and you drift into silence deeper than night itself. Good night, rider of dreams. May you rest as soundly as any nomad beneath the endless vault of stars. And should you wish to ride again, the trail to bedtime historica is never more than a whispered memory away. Until next time, may peace and quiet be your loyal companions. Morning arrives wrapped in a quiet that feels almost fragile. You rise to find the air sharp with the scent of dampened earth. Sometime during the final hours of night, a faint shower must have swept across the plain, leaving every stalk of grass bowed beneath tiny pearls of water. When you step outside, droplets burst beneath your boots, freeing aromas of soil and wild sage that mingle in a perfume fresh enough to clear the last cobwebs of sleep. The horses lift their heads in greeting, nostrils flaring as they test this new morning's taste. Breakfast is a simple porridge of millet, simmered in mare's milk, thick, creamy, crowned with a drizzle of honey reserved for special occasions. You cradle the wooden bowl between your hands, letting warmth seep into your palms while steam curls up to touch your face. Each spoonful sticks to your ribs in a way that promises stamina, yet glides down the throat with gentle sweetness. Around you, family members eat in companionable silence, broken only by the occasional clink of spoon on bowl or soft slurp of tea. Today the clan elders have planned a hunt, not a grand warlike undertaking, but a necessary cull of marmots and hares that plague the grazing lands. Their burrows break the ankles of running sheep. Their appetites diminish valuable grass. You pack lightly, a short composite bow, a quiver of feathered arrows, a coil of rawhide rope, and a length of sun-dried meat for the hours ahead. Your colt is rested from yesterday's training. Though still green, he shows eagerness in the prance of his step and the keen flick of his ears. The hunt party sets out in a loose fan, riders spaced so their fields of vision overlap without confusion. A hush settles over the group, not mandated, but arising naturally from the desire to let the day reveal itself without interruption. You guide the colt toward a stretch of rolling ground, pocked by low burrows. Here, a marmot pokes its blunt head into daylight, whiskers quivering. You draw an arrow smoothly, feeling bowstring brush fingertips, before nestling into the calloused groove perfected over countless practice shots. Release is gentle. The arrow arcs in a silent thread of intention. It finds its mark swiftly. Instantaneous mercy. You dismount to collect the animal, offering a whispered gratitude to the life that will nourish your family. Lunch is taken beneath a lone elm, whose branches twist like ancient runes etched against the sky. Thin slices of dried meat soften over a small twig fire, releasing fat that hisses when it touches flame. You wash the savory bites down with gulps of cold river water carried in a goatskin bladder. Conversation breaks the morning silence, but words remain low and slow, like a stream that refuses to hurry, even when banks grow steep. Topics drift from the quality of bowstring sinew to winter's likely snowfall. An elder recalls a blizzard from his youth, when tents vanished beneath drifts so high they met the roof rings. The storyteller's voice is unhurried, sentences landing lightly, each pause an invitation for listeners to imagine the scene. With the sun slipping westward, you return to camp bearing a respectable catch. Marmots, hares, and a pair of unsuspecting partridges flushed from tall grass. These are passed to the cooks, who will add them to evening stew, ensuring variety that sparks appetite. You rub down the colt, removing dust from his coat with a wad of dry grass. He shivers in pleasure, nudging your shoulder as if seeking praise. You grant it with a soft laugh and a rub along the muscular crest of his neck. Trust grows. Late afternoon is devoted to crafting and mending. You settle on a low stool outside the ger, lay the tools across your lap, and begin rewrapping a bow handle with new rawhide. Each pull tightens the grip, eliminating any chance of slippage when fingers are numb with midwinter cold. Nearby, an aunt repairs a felt saddlebag, pushing bone needle through thick layers with practiced heaves. A cousin scrapes a sheep's shoulder blade clean, preparing it as a gaming die for evening entertainment. Even work seems restful here, every motion purposeful, steady, unforced. As the sun kisses the western hills, children gather around a shallow pit lined with flat stones. They arrange small shoulder blades painted with runes, ready for a game of fortune-telling and wagers. Minor stakes, marbles of polished bone, maybe a bright ribbon. You sit by to watch. Dice clatter softly, landing in patterns that elicit sighs or triumphant whoops, quickly shushed by watchful parents. Laughter mingles with the tinkle of camel bells swaying in the twilight breeze. Twilight deepens into true night, and the evening meal begins. The stew thick with fresh game bubbles in iron kettles. Fat globules glisten on the surface, catching firelight in golden flashes. Spoons carve crescents in the broth, lifting tender morsels of meat and carrot. You savor each bite slowly, aware of belly gradually filling and limbs relaxing in tandem. A sip of warm milk tea seals the satisfaction. The fire's warmth soaks into weary muscles, seeping even into marrow. Storytelling follows dinner as inevitably as stars follow sunset. Tonight, the chosen tale recounts the legendary feat of an ancestor who lassoed a lightning bolt, a playful metaphor for capturing power beyond mortal grasp. The storyteller's voice is rich, almost hypnotic, layering images of storm-lit skies and brave silhouettes against the darkness. Embellishments draw chuckles, the bolt's electric hair standing on end, the hero's singed eyebrows, the odor of burnt felt lingering for weeks. The laughter lulls into smiles, and smiles soften into yawns barely concealed behind cupped hands. You rise, excusing yourself from the fading circle, drawn toward the open plain. Moonlight has waxed toward full, casting pale silver across grass that waves in hush. You walk slowly, each breath a cloud dissolving behind you. The world holds such stillness, it feels like stepping inside a snow globe moments after the flakes settle. Somewhere in the askew distance, a lone owl hoots, low and thoughtful, lending voice to the otherwise wordless night. Back in the ger, you ease onto quilts, body heavy with earned fatigue. Flickering embers paint the felt walls in lazy swirls. A neighbor's cough drifts through canvas, then subsides. You can almost measure time by the crackle of wood fibers surrendering to fire. You close your eyes, allowing eyelids to weigh down like soft stones. Thoughts slow to individual images, hoofprints in damp soil, a bowstring humming, steam rising from stew. Each image fades gently, replaced by the next, until even images dissolve and only breath remains. As sleep drapes its silent cloak, a final whisper reminds you, should you ever hunger again for the calm journey of history told in hush, Bedtime Historica is always here, ready to guide your steps into new landscapes of the past. Subscribing ensures the campfire stays lit, its glow ready for your return. For now, let quiet settle like morning dew. Rest easy, traveler. Tomorrow's dawn will rise without demand, and you will meet it refreshed, renewed, and at peace. Good night.